Oh boy. Oh my goodness. This is this is quite a day. Quite a Friday. Eric Darling here with Eric Darling Data. It would be Darling Data, but someone else got there first. I mean, for the domain. I mean, I still have the company. Whatever. I mean, no one else got here first. That would be awkward. If I hostile takeover of my own company. Anyway, uh, today we are drinking something red that my wife walked in and handed me, so I have no details. It smells nice though. And this video is going to build. Oh, geez, we're building things. We're building on things. There's a pattern forming here where we're going to build a little bit on a video that I recorded, I think, last week. I don't remember. The weeks are still, time is still very strange to me. Uh, Talking about how I set up SSMS to tune queries, and here's an example of actually when I used it to do that very thing, same very thing, uh, recently to one of my helper views, WhatsUpMemory, and I don't know why I named it that. I was, I guess because who is memory sounded stupid. Uh, so yeah, so this helper view will tell you what's in your buffer pool currently, and that's helpful, I guess, because everyone wants to know what's in their buffer pool constantly, all the time. I use it for demos that I do for things that I find helpful. So I don't know, maybe you will too. I don't know. If you don't, go do something else with your life. I don't care that much. But what I found is every time I wanted to use this thing on on an instance with a good chunk of memory, it was slow, terribly, dreadfully, painfully slow. If we look at the execution plan, we see that it took about 2 minutes and 44 seconds to run. Ugh. Who could wait that long for anything? And it made certain demos very difficult to do live, or even to like sort of do off the cuff recording. I would have to like pre-stage everything so that it would be set up here. So we were just like sitting around waiting for this, and we were awkwardly staring at the camera, or like doing a cut scene or a montage, lifting weights in my short shorts, running on a beach, karate kicking seagulls, whatever. But I mean, just kind of like digging through the execution plan again, very helpfully looking at the operator times under these things, right? So we no longer have to care about percentages, because I mean, not that they meant anything anyway. Shut up, car. But it's much more helpful to sort of like follow the yellow brick road of operator times to when things sort of drop off and pick up. So kind of framing this a little bit, we have this nested loops join that hits 215, and we have this concatenation that is at 0.001, and down here we have this table spool, which takes 1 minute and 36 seconds. Prior to that table spool, we do some nonsense where we hit this view sysalloc units, and mispronouncing that would have been deadly. And this one down here, sys.buffer descriptors, and we sort of join those together, and then we spend a bunch of time in the spool and a bunch of time in this nested loops join. And the spool, of course, is trying to save us some trouble with the nested loops join. It's like, oh, I don't know how repetitive this stuff is going to be. I don't know if I want to do everything down here over and over again. I'm going to use a spool to cache some information and reuse it if I can. I don't know how helpful this spool actually was. If we look at the properties of the spool and we look at the rebinds and the rewinds, well, I guess it's okay. Deal with it. But I don't like this spool. And if you look at the nested loops join, and kind of zoom in on the tooltip, it's all happening because of this very, very difficult predicate. There's a lot of and or logic in this join condition. I'll go zoom in on what the join condition looked like beforehand. And this is, sort of many times looking at queries and looking at, things that people wrote up in the real world. This is like the enemy of performance. This is not a good thing to do if you want queries to run quickly, especially, bigger queries, more rows, things you have to worry about, performance. Terrifying. So Uh, my initial reaction, and I guess we can let's come over here. My initial reaction was just to try a query hint on here for no performance spools, zero performance spools, which would get rid of, actually gets rid of a few different kinds of spools in query plans. And get rid of row count spools, lazy table spools, and lazy index spools. It does not get rid of eager index spools. The only thing that does that is turning off certain query rules via other things that we're not talking about here. But with the no performance spool hit, if we look at the query plan, we get a faster one. Still faster, 56 seconds. So we did better. Still takes a full minute. That's still a lot of time to kill. We don't feel like talking, really. It's, kind of dragging along the query plan. It's kind of the same set of yuckiness. Like, why does it take 5 seconds to seek into an index? Like, what are you doing? Who designs these things? Add an index. Add a good index. This is silly. And then this one, 3 seconds. And like focusing in on the operator times of things is like we have big jumps, right? Not like we don't want like incremental ones. Incremental ones are boring. We want that big jump to where we got up there. And I guess like a 6-second jump is pretty big, right? 5.7 seconds up to there. Okay, well, it's, something to think about. But kind of again following this road, right? So now we have that same join, I think, but we have like a bunch of stuff down here that just sort of takes a lot of, without the spool, we have to do a lot of the optimizer chooses a much different plan, where it's like a bunch of different stuff happens, right? And I don't know, I'm kind of got lost with what I was going to say about this one, but it's Friday and you're not paying attention anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much. Does this do? No, outer references. So this time we get an apply nested loops where rather than the regular nested loops where everything happened at the join when it was with the spool, now we get an apply nested loops where it takes the type in the owner ID and it pushes things down. If I'm looking at the right join, even at this point, I forget. Anyway, that's how I tune queries. I forget things. But yeah, so what I thought looking at it was, geez, this is a performance problem that I've solved for other people a whole bunch of times. Why don't I solve it for myself for once? And so I rewrote the query, and I'll show you what I did in a minute. But now, the execution plan, this finishes in about 7 seconds. So now everything that's slow in here is purely Microsoft's fault. There's no like really, really big jumps in the query plan. We still have buffer descriptors was kind of annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world. But anyway, let's get on to the rewrite. All the stuff up here is superfluous. I mean, that's just like display level stuff. What really ended up making a difference was, so the first time I was thinking about rewriting this, I thought that I would just do this thing in here and separate out each of the join conditions. So in this one, I have one explicit join condition with no, there's space there. Ugh, I stink. And then another one with this explicit join condition. So no like and or in crap in here. And, looking there, cool. And at first I thought that I would do this and I would just preserve the original join logic, which up here is from buffer descriptors join over to allocation units. But I found that hitting that buffer descriptors view 3 times was painful. So I ended up pulling the buffer descriptors part out and just doing one join to it at the end once I had everything else done out here. So now the query is just grabbing all this stuff, right? Having fun, doing things, pulling out information, and then when we get outside of that sort of inner query, where I just called that X because I don't know, Mr. X. And then we do our grouping and our ordering out here. And we do all the summing and whatnot up here with our case expressions here, where they're far less dangerous. And of course, repeating this query with 3 explicit joins is a lot faster. Now, it's a lot faster for reasons that I've talked about in other posts where, if we're writing single-purpose queries, it's a lot easier for the optimizer to go to deal with that and to make an efficient query plan. I'll probably blog more about that in the future, but for now, that's what you get, because we're about at the 10-minute mark, and I'm about to get my Friday evening started. And I hope, well, I mean, by the time you see this, it'll be Tuesday, but that's your fault. Anyway, thank you for watching.